So, yeah, that's why I don't like teen pregnancy storylines.
Yeah, no, I definitely...
In general.
Yeah, this one was not
in general.
Good. This one was not a good one.
This one was bad.
Probably
one
of the
so
worst.
Bad.
Yeah, probably one of the worst. Shoehorned in there right at the end.
That's where, when he was like, oh, that's why, even though I didn't like his speech, once I got to the core of what Morgan Freeman was saying, he was like, you guys always want to, like, have a kid just to prove you can. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't like these teen stories, because they just have the kid to prove that they, like, can have a kid. But it's like, now you're struggling to prove a point. Like, you could not struggle as well. Yeah. Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Del.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black media we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood.
Alright, so today we watched... So today we watched Lean on Me.
Yes. This was a Derrick Spence Jr. suggestion. Friend of the I was going to say podcast. We're a channel.
Yeah.
Friend of the channel. Yes. He stays suggesting us things, and we always watch them because we love suggestions. It makes it easy on us because then we don't have to think of a movie.
Yep.
So, as always, IMDb. The dedicated but tyrannical Joe Clark is appointed the principal of a decaying inner-city school he is determined to improve by any and all means.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but I think this is the first Morgan Freeman movie we watched here.
That's what it felt like to me, too. That is also what it felt
like. Yeah. I think so, too. I could be wrong. We've been wrong before. Yeah. But I really think this is the first Morgan Freeman movie.
Yeah, definitely the first one
which is a
him,
shame.
You know?
Yeah, definitely starring. Which is a shame, because Morgan Freeman's great.
Yeah.
And before we get into it, it was wild seeing him in, like, the young man's afro, because Morgan Freeman has been, like, old my whole life.
Yeah, no, I had to look at his age after. He's 85 right now. I definitely had to look that up. I was like, wow.
He's been more or less 85 our entire life.
Yeah, exactly. But, all right, as usual, we start off with things we liked about this one.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess since we're on the topic, Morgan Freeman, he was great in this one.
Great.
Yeah, just very, like, powerful character. I think he really embodied the Mr. Clark character, and I also liked how we saw, like, different ranges of emotion, and, like, I don't know, like, I thought the Mr. Clark character was very, like, complex. Like, it wasn't just, like, that he was, like, super strict. Like, we kind of saw him, you know, going too far and having to reel himself back a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of, like, very heated screaming matches. Like, he definitely seemed like that kind of, like, oh, I'm the man in this, I'm in the man, like, everyone listens to me. But we also, like, saw a lot of people kind of talk back to him, between, like, the vice principal, Dr. Napier, his, like, kind of, what's the word? His, the person who, like, suggested him for the job and was kind of, like, taking the heat for him. But
yes.
Yeah, they were just, like, I don't know, I just thought he was a very, like, down-to-earth character, even though he was kind of that extreme, like, hey, you're gonna follow me.
Take no prisoners.
Exactly.
Yeah, I also had Mr. Clark. I just thought he was also hilarious, but in like a very blunt kind of way. Yeah. Like his insults to all those children. If I were a teacher, that's all I would want to do. I would want to be the Mr. Clark teacher who's just insulting kids in the hallway. Because I think at one point he called, is his name Sam?
Sam's.
Boy?
Yeah.
Sam's, he was like, Sam, look at this boy if you want an example of what not to do with this raggedy child. I was like...
Sloppy, gotta be a sloppy, like, no good for nothing kid, you know, like in the middle of the cafeteria. I was like, damn.
Yeah, he read those children for film.
Yeah.
He was the epitome of that fuck them kids meme. It was so good. Another scene that I have that I liked in particular was the first faculty meeting between him and all the teachers. That's when we really started to, like, get a feel for how he was going to shake things up, because he comes in and is like, hey, so these are my meetings. No one else talks during these. He, like, switches the coach and the assistant coach. He was like, and the vice coach, he's like, because you guys haven't been doing shit since you got here, so obviously you need to switch roles. Just like that immediate first, you kind of like immediately know who he is, what he's about from that scene. It was just a great kind of like introduction to the character.
Yeah.
Because we had kind of another introduction to the character that I'll get into in my negatives, but this was a great introduction to the character.
Yeah, and I thought the follow-up scene with the kids and him, like, kicking out, like, 300 kids or whatever was also
that was the best
scene, too. You know, again, just really, like, set the tone for who he was as a character and, like, where this movie is kind of headed, you know?
He was like, all these kids, guess what? So, you've been here 5 years. You thought you were going to do something. You're not. You're all expelled. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, dang.
Yeah, definitely not.
And even when Sam came back and was like, I know you said I was doing that, but it wasn't me. He was like, just being that harsh guy with him and like, bringing him up to the roof and being like, well, he said you smoke crack, so just go kill yourself now, because you're killing yourself in a slow way. Like, forget that. Just do it now. Like,
yeah. He's very, very intense.
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah, I think, for the rest, I mostly just had scenes. I like the scene where he, like, fires Mr. Darnell, then he, like, flips the table. I just thought the table flip was, like, the perfect way for him to walk out.
That was a great table flip.
Yeah, it was just another one of those good scenes of, like, people not really standing up to his shit and, trying to, like, I don't know, put him in his place a little bit. But, I like that scene.
Yeah. I don't have any more scenes, so you could just keep going, because this is weird, and it's gonna come up again. But I really did like this movie. It's just I don't have a specific scenes of why I liked it.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt that too. Like, I think for a lot of this movie, like just watching Morgan Freeman on stage embodying this character kind of made the movie for me. So like, most of the scenes I had were just like those like very like passionate scenes. Like I had the VP quitting scene or getting fired. Yeah. I forget if she quit or got fired.
That was a good one.
I had that scene.
She kind of was like, if you're gonna be like this, then I'm giving you my 2 weeks or like transfer me.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah. And even after that, when he like hands her the transfer papers, but then like kind of, I don't know, she like balls him up. I thought that was a good scene.
Yeah.
And the last one I had was again Dr. Napier, his boss or whatever, when they're in that room like having that screaming match, and then after he's like, come on, let's get something to eat. I just thought that scene was like perfect and kind of, I don't know, I thought it like embodies like how black people kind of operate sometimes, you know. It's like we just like scream at each other, but hey, we're still in this together at the
we're still
end of the
good
day.
We're on the same
on
team,
the same side. So
yeah,
just a lot of like good scenes like that, I think, in this one. But yeah, I guess we can get into negatives now. You want to kick it off?
The first one I kind of touched on, which was the 1967 timeline. I felt as though that was unnecessary because it was such a strong introduction to him, even when it was like at the little charter school or whatever it is he was working as like a 5th grade. I honestly don't know what school that was. But getting him from there was a good enough start for me that we didn't need the whole, he used to work at the school and then they did him dirty. Like, I feel as though that was unnecessary and it could have unfolded in the dialogue and been just as strong. Like, we didn't need that whole separate scene, to me at least.
Yeah, I definitely kind of agree. I almost forgot about that kind of initial scene. I did like the scene as it like was, but
yeah, I liked it. It was good, and it showed who
by
he
the time
was.
the movie goes, you know.
Yeah.
I think all mine were like kind of small, but I guess maybe the biggest one. I didn't know that Mr. Clark really had like a shift of heart by the end of the movie. That they kind of made it seem like he had, where he was like kind of becoming that more calm, more like self-aware of like how destructive he was being to his like teachers and stuff. There's kind of that scene at the end where the vice principal brings him the test scores. And, like, even at that point, he's, like, yelling at her, like, this is what you call doing your job. Why are you interrupting me kind of thing. But then he sees the scores. They're all good. And it's, like, happy ending. So,
I just thought the entire ending was so messy and chaotic.
Yeah.
Like, I understood the ending right as he got arrested and, like, put in jail because of the whole fire code thing. That part made sense. But then they were doing a little too much in the end, and it was like, oh, now everyone's protesting. Oh, you need to go stop them from protesting. It's like, he's in jail. He's not even leading this. Like, what are you talking about? And then there was like, oh, and then plus they also had the woman trying to start up the school board to get him removed. And I was like, all of this is happening a little too close together to make sense to me. It was just a scotch too much. And it just became, it went from like being like, oh, a lot of hard-hitting, heavy things are happening at once to make it like purposefully chaotic to almost like it got away from them, became a little too chaotic.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And while we're talking about the ending, I also thought like that lady's argument for getting him removed was like very weak. Like,
because
her
so
argument
bad.
was essentially like, I get the fire door thing. It was like, okay, we'll use the fire door as an excuse to bring him up. But her argument was that, okay, like, we bought this guy in because the schools were failing. All his students failed the practice exam at the beginning of the year. So now let's remove him before the final scores come out because he didn't do a good job on the practice exam. I was like, like, he's only been here a year. Like, you haven't given him a single chance to, like, have an exam.
Yeah, you haven't given him a chance. And also the practice exam is telling him where he needs to go.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we knew they were going to fail the practice exam. That was why we bought him in the first place, you know? Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that argument was weak. Plus, like, the jail thing was just kind of like, And I don't know why he was in the jail. Like, I don't know how weird jails usually are, but I guess he was, like, in some cell in the courthouse already, and they were having the meeting upstairs, I guess. Like, but yeah, agreed, it got very chaotic toward the end.
It got too chaotic at the end. I was like, there's so much going on.
And it also left a lot of things, like, unfinished. Like, a lot of, like, different storylines with the kids were kind of just left by the wayside. Like, her having,
like the girl who got pregnant randomly. Okay, I'm not going to get into it now, but I don't like storylines where teens get pregnant.
Yeah, and it was really weird in this one, too. It was really just, I don't know.
Especially in the 11th hour, because I didn't even know she was, like, in a relationship with that guy that she saw, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like he asked her out on Valentine's Day, but then we never saw anything of that again.
Then I thought he was her math tutor. I thought he was her math tutor, and then it became a thing or something.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Either way,
I thought he asked... It was during the Valentine's Day tutor-a-thon or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we never hear from that relationship again. Then all of a sudden she's crying, she's pregnant. And Morgan Freeman's like, you girls always get pregnant and just trying to keep the kid. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, he said it has to be someone else. And then she brings it up at the protest as well. He's like, we gotta do this. And she's like, some of us don't pay attention to what we have to do. And I was like, this is not the time.
It's not the place for this, you know. Yeah.
But it was so I honestly would have cut out the girl in general, or at least not focus on her as much, or even not. I would have cut out one of those two kids' storylines, because what I would have done in place was I would have kind of kept checking in with the, like, pressed mom. The mom who was, like, so pressed to get him fired. I would have checked in on her a little bit more, because as I was reading the Wikipedia, it was like her kid was one of the kids that was expelled. Yeah, so it's like, oh, she kind of is also... I understand why she's mad at him, because, like... He just had this big production where her kid wasn't even expelled in private. He had a whole big production and was like, your kid's not shit. Get out of the school. You're disrupting it from the kids who I think I can teach. Like, you're a lost cause, essentially. So, like, I get why she's upset, because he, like, called all the kids out their name in front of everybody and expelled them. Like, of course you're pissed. But, like, I would have, like, kept checking in with her a little bit more, just so that she felt a little bit more, like, got a little more texture to her. I would have definitely done that, and in doing so, I would have cut out either Sam or the girl who became pregnant. And honestly, because she became pregnant, I would have cut out the girl who became pregnant, because I hate a teen pregnancy storyline. I hate it.
Yeah, this one was barely a storyline. It was more like a footnote, an awkwardly placed footnote at the end. But it
was bad. I didn't like that at all.
Either focus on the mom whose kid left, or I would say we could have gotten a little bit of, like, Mr. Clark outside of school, you know? Like, there was, like, a brief comment where he's like, oh, that's why your wife left you, and now you're, like, alienating people. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize he had a wife.
I almost forgot about that.
I was like, huh? You know? So I could have used a little more, like, on his, like, okay, what is he like when he's not, like, being this, like, strict principal? Like, do we see him unwind?
They dropped that bomb and abandoned it immediately. Yeah, they were like, boom.
No, nothing came of that.
Yeah.
And I guess kind of related. This was another, like, nitpicky thing I had about this one. There really were, like, no breaks in this one, you know? Like, it was, like, this was a pretty, like, not intense movie, but just, like, a lot of those, like, very powerful scenes, like, those very, like, long kind of speeches, those, two like, teachers yelling at each other kind of scenes, and there was, like, no real, like, break from that, except for one moment where I, like, distinctly remember, because I was thinking, okay, there was no breaks in this film, and then they had one scene where, this was when they got, like, the scores back the first time, and he, like, made the teacher split up. And he was like, yeah, you guys represent 70 who are going to end up at the barrel of a gun. And then it, like, goes into this kind of, like, cheesy montage of them, like, I don't know, painting shirts or whatever. I thought that was, a very weird interrupt. But for the most part, this movie didn't have a lot of breaks from that kind of, like, tone, you know?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. Was that it for you, or?
Yeah, that was it for me.
Okay, the last I had was a nitpick, and you mentioned this as a
Yeah.
positive. I felt so bad for some of those kids getting berated in public. Like, I was like, these kids are probably traumatized for the rest of their lives. Like, he brought the kid up on the stage, called him a slob, and then the kid just has to go home and take that. And there were several moments like that. I was like, damn. Like, it's definitely a different time, you know? Definitely a different time period.
I liked it because I like chaos and I want to see the world burn.
I know. I was sitting there feeling bad for these kids.
I did on like my human level. I was like, yeah, that is mean. Like I would hate to be, like if I were in there in person, I'd be like, oh my god, those kids just got expelled, and he told them like they're all garbage. Yeah. But like seeing as a spectator, knowing these are fake kids, I was
as a movie, I was like, okay, this is definitely entertaining as a movie. But I was like, damn.
Yeah, I get it though. I get it though.
Yeah. Told Sam's to jump off the roof. I was like, damn. But okay, yeah, I think that's all I had for this the negative column. Are you ready for ratings?
Yes.
Yeah, you want to go first for this one?
Yeah, I can go first. I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. I really like this genre of movie that is more or less like a take no nonsense black man coming in and flipping a school that's failing on its head. We've watched it a couple of times with Coach Carter. There was the one, oh my god, was it Samuel? No, Samuel Jackson's Coach Carter, right? Who's Denzel? Because he had a school too where he
was that John Q? Was it?
Yes, John Q.
That was
no, that wasn't John Q. That was the school. It wasn't School Days. Oh my gosh. We don't pay attention to anything. Yeah. It wasn't John Q, but it was around the time that we did do John Q. Hard Lessons. I was about to be like, Danielle, look this up. It's Hard Lessons.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Denzel who had a failing school. But yeah, I just like this genre of movies where you can't pinpoint exact scenes all the time necessarily of like why you liked it, but just like the overall vibe is fun. It's held down by a really wonderful actor, so of course you would like follow them off a cliff and you're just like having a good time. Besides the messy ending, I enjoyed this.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed this a lot too. I gave this one a 4. Yeah, Morgan Freeman did really good in this one. Just very like captivating character. I felt like I was on the edge of my seat for a lot of this one. Just kind of like, oh, what's he gonna do next? How is he gonna like top himself, kind of thing. I also do like this genre of kind of like flipping a school around. And again, like you, like kind of the chaotic ending hurt it a little bit. Just like some of those things feeling like they weren't neatly tied off. But yeah, overall very enjoyable viewing experience. Like got a lot of good scenes out of this one. Yeah, a lot of like touching moments. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. Yeah. Final question: do you wish you saw this one sooner?
Probably around the same time we saw Coach Carter, maybe, but I don't need to have seen it like exponentially sooner.
Okay, yeah. I said yes just because, like you said, this is the first Morgan Freeman movie we've seen, and I feel like that's kind of a sin. So, like, I'd like to have seen it earlier just so we can say, like, hey, this isn't our first Morgan Freeman movie, you know? But,
but what a way to start.
Yeah, so we'll have to, I guess, definitely add more of his movies in the future, you know?
Yes.
But, yeah, that was Lean On Me.
Yes. Thank you again to Derrick Spence Jr. for recommending it for us. You'll be happy to see that we like this more than School Days because you recommended it on our School Days video. So.
Yeah, okay. Okay, nice.
You'll probably be happy to see that we both gave it glowing reviews.
Yeah, this was definitely a good one. Definitely a good one. Would recommend. So, yeah, YouTube housekeeping, like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell for notifications. If you have any movie suggestions for us, you can leave them in the comments down below. We do movies on Tuesdays and Fridays. All of our socials will be linked in the description box down below, and we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye! So he was
I had to
hinting
learn
at...
a school song in high school, though. That was a little weird to get used to. I don't know my school song. Don't know if we had one.
I thought of that, too. Because I remember at your graduation, everyone sang the Penn song. And I was like, I'm pretty sure at my graduation for college, they sang my school song. Yeah. Do I know it? No. I don't know it now. Please.
Yeah. But this is high school. I don't even know my high school's motto. Like, I don't even know if we had a motto. It was like respect or something.
I don't know my high school motto because I'm almost positive our motto changed a couple times. Because we had the whole weird principal thing for a bit. So I'm pretty sure my high school motto changed. I don't know. I have to ask Kirsten. I'm pretty sure our high school motto changed a couple times. But I don't know it. I don't know what our school song was. I was in Catholic school, so probably something Jesus. I don't know. Yeah. But I do not know my school song at all. Yeah, no. Not even a little bit.
No. Yeah, I swear we didn't have one, but maybe we did. I just missed it. I don't know.
The funny part about if we had a school song is I would have had to sing it for 4 years because I was in chorus.
Yeah.
So
you got no excuse over there.
So it's even wilder if I don't know the school song. Yeah. I truly don't think we had one. But it's funny if we did, because I would have been like one of the people who had to sing it like every single event. Yeah. And I just don't know it anymore.